Okay, I have a serious question.
Okay, what's the question?
Why do older women hate young women so much?
Hate's a rather strong word to use in this case, don't you think? But I'm sure that's just to get attention.
Like, I know it comes from a place of jealousy and, like, the craving for male validation.
I'm sorry, what? Jealousy? Of what? And male validation? No, dearie, most women who are older actually have come to know themselves quite well and are rather secure in who they are, and they don't need validation from anyone. This can only get better from here.
Because there's nothing I could do to make them like me. They already come in and just hate me because I'm like a young girl.
Maybe it has less to do with someone being a young girl and more of their attitude and apparent preconceived notions of other women.
And I'm just tired of it, and I'm getting really frustrated seeing, like, how I'm tipped differently, or, like, how they compliment these, like, male coworkers of mine and then just totally want nothing to do with me. So please fix this behavior before I have a fucking breakdown at work, because I'm getting really sick of it.
Here is something that a person might understand when they get a little bit older. If someone is really secure in who they are, they're not going to get jealous of the attention that is given to others. Remember that.
I don't think that men should be allowed to use weightlifting gloves in the gym.
Any particular reason why? Or should we just add that to the list of things that guys shouldn't be doing because some random woman says so?
Take off the hand thong. You're lifting 50 pounds.
Okay.
And I do understand that you're really concerned about keeping your hands soft to, like, jerk off your friend or whatever. You'll be okay. Take it off. Take it off.
Okay. Allow me to be rather blunt. And for those whose delicate sensibilities I am about to offend, I would apologize, but I'm not one little bit sorry because most likely you are in the audience that I am actually addressing at this moment. So let me ask a question, because I'm frankly sick of seeing this particular little narrative of women seeming to think that it's cute or even remotely acceptable to be homophobic and try to shame men into getting them to do what you want by insinuating that they're not straight because of the things that they do. So the question is, when exactly did you think that being a bigot was something that was remotely acceptable at this point in time? Really? Some of you really need to grow up, because if a guy doesn't do something that you like, perhaps just communicate that using words instead of trying to use shaming tactics.
If a man ever tells you that she's just a friend and it's platonic and nothing is happening with that situation, I want you to understand that he is 100% lying to you.
100% lying? Okay, why?
Because men would never be friends with women if they did not get something out of that situation.
Never. Okay, I can't tell everyone how much someone speaking in absolutes absolutely lends credibility to what they're saying.
Men are very transactional. They view women differently. They view women like, what can you do for me?
Wow. Anyone notice that sounds eerily similar to how some women view men? Maybe they're not so different after all.
They feel good around that woman, right? There's always something that they get out of it for their benefit. It is never to benefit the woman. It's always them getting something out of that situation from that woman.
Well, considering how some women treat the men that they're with, maybe they're getting what they're not getting elsewhere. Emotional support, things that a friend would actually offer.
Men do not view women the same way that we would view like a male friend, okay? Because we have our male friends and we can be friends with them. We don't need to have a crush or anything like that.
I wonder if they realize how hypocritical that sounds, that women can have male friends while they're in a relationship, but it's a red flag if men have female friends. You can't make this stuff up.
Exactly. And this is why a lot of men are walking away from dating. A lot of men are choosing other things to do with their time. Chilling, going to the gym, trying to level up their life, trying to enhance their wardrobe, which is where today's sponsor, Anson Belt and Buckle, comes in. These guys are not playing around. And this is probably, honestly, going to be the last belt that you ever own. These guys are family owned, been doing it since 2009, and have completely reinvented how belts should work. So instead of those holes that you have on your belt, I know I have them on mine that have been there for a long time. Anson uses this micro adjustable track system with they're like a 1/4 inch increments. So the belt is going to fit perfectly every time. That's what I love about it. You don't have to guess. It fits every single time. And because you have this micro adjustable track system, it's going to give you that perfect fit every single time. And trust me, after you try one of these belts, you're not going to want to go back to the belt that you had before. And one of the biggest things for me is you can mix and match any buckle with any strap. So you're always going to have that belt that's going to match your outfit perfectly without having to go out there and buy dozens of belts that are going to clutter up your closet like me, right? Ever since receiving these belts, I have about 10 or 15, and I'm not joking with you, 10 or 15 belts in there that I can remove because, like I said, you can mix and match belt buckles and straps to get different combinations. And another thing that I would add is it's not just about, oh, I look good. It's not just about style. It's about feeling more comfortable, confident. I would say confident, and just an overall sense of feeling more polished in what you wear. You know what I mean? Anson belts adjust. They adjust with you throughout the day. So whether you might be standing a lot, you might be sitting, or you might be on the move, whatever you're doing, you're always comfortable, and then you always look sharp doing that. And once you try this thing, trust me, you will not go back to your old belt. For what? The thing is obsolete. Why would you try to struggle and twist and turn when this thing, click, and you're going on about your day? And if you're like me, I'm pretty skeptical about a lot of stuff, but these guys are family owned and operated. And when I look at the reviews, I think they have somewhere around 40,000 plus 5-star reviews. When I look at that, I'm like, oh, family owned, been in business since 2009. It makes me trust that they're going to do me right. And because Anson Belt and Buckle is sponsoring today's video, when you click the link in the description or scan the QR code to build a box set, you'll get 2 bonus pieces, a buckle and a strap completely free. That's 3 buckles and 3 straps, which can be mixed and matched into 9 unique belt combos, all in one box. It's an exclusive deal you won't get anywhere else. So click the link, build your set, and upgrade your belt game today.
I just had 5 grown-ass men walk by, grown-ass, able-bodied men walk by as I struggle to like carry all of my shit and help this poor mother with 3 children carry her stroller down the stairs.
Well, contrary to what was written across that screen, I don't believe that there's anything at all wrong with most men. In fact, especially if a person pays attention to what some women post on social media, those gentlemen were doing exactly what a lot of those women have been asking men to do. Leave them alone. Don't approach them, and certainly don't talk to them. So why exactly would they be inclined to help some woman that they don't know, not knowing how exactly she's going to react to having those men approach her?
They just looked and kept walking. I'm literally like dropping my umbrella and everything. They just keep on walking.
And I cannot blame them for that, because they had no way of knowing how a strange woman would react to being approached by a strange man. Honestly, it's best that they just played it safe and kept their distance. But a lot of women really want to be treated as equals until they're treated the same way that a lot of men are.
You need to stop being so scared to ask men for stuff.
Why would a grown, supposedly independent woman actually have the audacity to ask men for stuff? I'm sure there's a good reason.
Because these men never hesitate to ask you for your body.
Right. Sure. Because that makes perfect sense. Turn relationships into something transactional so that a person is basically selling their services. Okay. I'm really getting embarrassed for a lot of these women out there. Do they not realize how bad a lot of this is making them look? Of course, then again, I don't think they care.
So I think you asking him for $20 for gas really shouldn't be a big deal.
Sadly, it's probably these very same types of women and those that listen to this type of advice that view relationships as strictly transactional and see men only for what they can be used to get out of them that are probably still wondering why they can't find a good relationship. Where are all those good men hiding? And why can't they seem to find a relationship that actually lasts, where someone treats them with love and respect? Well, here's a thought. If you treat every relationship as a transaction, the guy is going to often find a better deal.
Maybe if all women started carrying guns, like all of us, all women, started just carrying them openly on our hips, then they would make guns illegal.
They really didn't think this one through. They were so busy trying to insinuate that they're somehow oppressed by being a woman that they didn't take into consideration that 25% of American women already own one.
And I think we really got to go back to being appreciated. Being appreciated. A lot of these modern women, they holler, they scream, they yell and complain about men not appreciating them. They yell, holler, and scream about men not yearning, men not approaching, men not doing all these other things. But modern women need to get it through their heads that they're not reciprocating. They need to get it through their heads that they're not giving back what men are putting out. They're not giving it back. Just say you're lazy and be done with it.
Statements like that really speak volumes, don't they? And I have seen numerous posts just like this, if not even worse. And it really gives a person a good idea of the content of that person's character, morality, and indeed the level of empathy that that person happens to have in regards to other human beings. And in case anyone wasn't aware what those numbers mean, that is actually the number of men by the year, month, day, hour, and minute that decide to, by their own hands, leave this plane of existence. Might I add, a lot of these are the same types of women that want everyone, including men, to care about women's issues. But they can't be bothered to have any empathy at all for someone just because they happen to be a man. It's really sad, isn't it? And honestly, a lot of them should be ashamed of themselves. But on the upside, the internet is forever. Really? Oh my goodness. Well, that statement right there tells me exactly where the red flag in this situation should really be planted. Because in my experience, those individuals who are not just educated but also intelligent value those qualities in their partner and actually will seek out a person that has those qualities. It's only those individuals that lack those qualities, shall we say, that are often intimidated by them and will seek out a partner that doesn't match up to their level. So yeah, hold your own red flag. Bigotry is becoming very popular and very widely accepted. Has anyone else noticed that? Because I'm finding that rather troubling. Being a bigot is widely accepted as long as it's against a particular group of people that a lot of other people don't like. For example, men. Disparaging men is more popular than ever, and a lot of these individuals who claim to be very proud misandrists seem to have nothing better to do with their time than to disparage, if not all, at least the majority of men. But as many of us are aware, a misandrist, by the very definition of the term, is a bigot. So why is being a bigot something to be proud of? There used to be a time when that was frowned upon if you had an unreasonable belief or prejudice against an entire group of people based on their membership of a particular group. But now, as long as it's against a certain group of people, men, for example, but there are others, it's seemingly perfectly acceptable and even encouraged. I think a lot of us should find that more troubling than some already do. This will come as a surprise to absolutely no one. But in my last post, where I indicated that someone who judges an entire group of people, in this case men, based on the actions of some of those men, is no better than a racist, well, believe it or not, there are actually several individuals in that comment section, as we speak, defending the position of those who despise an entire group of people. They're actually trying to justify bigotry. It's amazing to me that in some cases, especially if it fits a certain narrative or an agenda, if you will, that there are more than a few individuals that are actually willing to stand up and defend bigotry. So my question is, when is there an excuse to be a bigot and be prejudiced against an entire group of people? Because if a person of a certain skin color does something, Most people, most reasonable people, would consider it wrong to hold the entire group of people that share that skin color accountable. But as long as it's men, then it's okay to do so. So someone please explain to me why it's okay in some situations to be a bigot, and in other situations, it's not okay at all.
You know, I always get what I want.
Is it just me, or is there a lot of women out there that seem just a little too eager to advertise that they can in fact be bought and paid for?
If women are drafted to the military, I am most excited to see the confrontation between commanding officers and the girls.
Between commanding officers and the girls? Oh dear.
Think we're gonna let you yell at us? You think we're gonna do something without a please and thank you?
Please allow me to introduce a little reality into this situation, because personnel in the military are under legal obligation to follow all lawful orders that they are given. And a please and a thank you are not required.
We've all had controlling ex-boyfriends. We know not to put up with that bullshit.
It's almost as if they're not understanding that it's not just men that are in positions of authority in the military.
Like, let's sit down and have a conversation about what you want and what I want, and we'll reach a happy medium. Because there's no way I'm doing what you want when you use that tone with me. You think you can push us around like you do with these men? Think again, baby. You're gonna learn some manners.
And I think one would learn very quickly that having a bad attitude and obvious problems with people in positions of authority wouldn't get one very far. But most importantly, the Uniform Code of Military Justice doesn't play.
The male gender is going extinct.
Well, there goes the species, I guess.
They were impossible not to admire, you know? I mean, they used to go to war. They were providers, protectors. But that was kind of a long time ago.
Has someone been living under a rock? Because a lot of men still do all of those things.
Because now they're posting fit checks and skincare routines. So many traits that were once labeled as feminine are now commonly found in men. So, what happened?
Oh, well, that's easy. Quite frankly, a lot of women got exactly what they asked for when it comes to how some men currently behave. Because there was a belief, and it's still held by some, that masculinity itself was toxic. And unfortunately, that belief came about because some individuals who acted in a traditional masculine manner had some toxic behaviors. Therefore, it made sense, due to a lack of critical thinking skills on the parts of some, that all of masculinity was toxic. So if a person is asking why some men aren't acting in such a masculine manner as they used to, well, it's because women didn't want them to.
You know, a lot of these modern women really honestly and truly were chasing independence. That's what they wanted. Oh, I want to be a strong and independent woman. I don't need no man. And the man said, okay, you don't need me. You get independence, I get peace. You leave me alone, I leave you alone. Modern women, I'm thinking of an example right now. As we found out, modern women will always come back around and bother a man. In whatever situation, however the situation goes, they're going to come back and bother a man.
If you don't put women down, they see you as pathetic.
Actually, encouraging verbal abuse is just about the most pathetic dating advice I have seen so far.
True female nature is only seeing guys that put them down as powerful and strong and desirable. If you treat them as an equal, if you act like a performative clown and trying to make them laugh with all these jokes and all these silly things, they see you as fucking gay and pathetic.
Is this actually instructions on how to enter into a toxic relationship? It must be.
If you want them to respect you and see you as powerful and desire you, you have to put them down.
Let's think about this. Putting someone down so that they'll feel worse about themselves, so that they'll try to get the other individual to treat them nicely. Not only is that referred to as negging, which is just pathetic in and of itself, but also bear in mind they are encouraging someone to commit verbal abuse to actually get into a relationship.
In a tasteful way, in a funny way, but when you do it, that is the only dynamic you can possibly have to have true desire.
Ladies and gentlemen, remember there are individuals like this that think that by putting you down in a tasteful and funny way, they aren't actually being verbally abusive. No, they still are. They're just wrapping it up in a prettier package.
Unpopular opinion about the airlines making plus-size people pay for 2 seats.
And what's that?
It's unfair.
Unfair? Why?
America should not have people who are plus size pay for extra seats. It should be awarded to them.
Really? So what exactly is the reason that a business should be made to give up a free seat for an individual that's too large for a standard seat? And I wonder if that applies to those that are very tall as well.
Because America doesn't make it easy for people to be healthy.
That's the route we're going.
Fast food is cheaper than healthy food. Not to mention, most people are working multiple jobs. They don't have time to prep healthy food for themselves. Being fit and healthy is a luxury.
Well, this might be yet another unpopular opinion, but flying is not a right. It's actually considered to be a luxury. And if a person is putting their money towards luxuries instead of necessities, like healthy food, I really have to question their priorities.
Fuck men's mental health. I don't give a fuck.
I find that rather hard to believe, especially since someone took the time to make a video.
I'm tired of hearing all this men suffer in silence. What the fuck they don't? They don't! Women suffer in silence. Men suffer in violence.
What exactly does that mean?
If a that or he's angry, he gonna let a woman know. He gonna beat the ass.
Unfortunately, there are many instances which that is sadly the case. And there is never an excuse for abuse, whether it be physical or verbal. And that it goes for men as well as women. But do bear in mind that the majority of men are not abusive.
He's gonna make sure she hears it. Go to therapy. Shut the fuck up.
Again, there has never been a reasonable excuse from any person for domestic abuse. That is something that should be reported immediately to the police. However, telling someone to go to therapy and then shut up, that's not really encouraging anyone to get better. That's encouraging them to continue to suffer in silence.
I'm tired of being hated. Not all men. Don't let me into that.
And here we have an adult. Adulting.
Tired of being hated. Women have been hated since the beginning of time.
Oh, so that's the excuse, is it? Since, according to some, women have been hated since the beginning of time, it would naturally make sense for some women to decide to hate all men in return and somehow balance the scales by using hate. Bearing in mind, of course, that there are so many men out there that have never done a thing wrong to a woman in their lives, and also taking into consideration that the number of good men out there vastly outnumber the bad. But yes, of course, let's lump all men together because that makes the most rational sense.
Men are actually gay and they should just kiss each other.
This ought to be good.
The way men want to look is because they want to impress other men, not women.
I understand that someone is trying to be purposefully offensive here, but they're actually not taking into consideration that women do the very same thing for the very same reasons. Most women, in fact, will tell you that they dress and wear makeup to impress other women, and that doesn't make them gay.
They want to look big and buff and muscular because other men compliment them when they look like that.
How awful. Someone got a compliment from another man. That must mean so many things, right?
That is the male stereotype that you should be, that men put in place. They're doing it to themselves. You want attention from other men.
Be patient. I'll get to it.
Homoerotic. Men want validation from other men. You're gay.
I'm sorry, but when exactly did it become socially acceptable again to call someone gay in a disparaging manner? There have been many people that have actually worked very hard to stop that type of prejudice. But apparently, only as long as it's against a group of men is it okay to call them gay in a disparaging manner, not even taking into consideration that women do the exact same things for the exact same reasons, for validation from other women. But I can see why they left that out, because that would actually point out the hypocrisy of that entire statement.
One of the smallest things that I have noticed that irritates me to hell regarding men.
And what are we complaining about today about men, just for the sake of complaining?
Is the way that men will call each other brother at any given chance, but you will never hear them calling a woman sister.
Some women are just nitpicking now.
And I believe that this is so frustrating.
Only for those that are jealous.
The brotherhood of being a man is so alive and well. This idea of protecting each other, caring for each other, finding friendship in each other, even with strangers. They just have to mildly smile at each other and they'll be like, hey brother, how you doing?
So, what's wrong with that?
I have never heard a man say anything that welcoming to a woman.
Of course. For some, it always comes back to, how can I feel slighted today?
Women are seen as inherently sexual objects. Thus, such terms would not go hand in hand for obvious reasons.
Some will really go to almost any length to try to victimize themselves in some way, just so they can avoid being responsible for the words that come out of their mouth.
There will always be an in crowd for them to be a part of that women will never be able to be a part of. And I'm not saying it is all down to the term brother, but it is a very small indication of that.
That sounded like it was coming from a place of jealousy. So instead of trying to tear down men for the closeness that many of them have with each other, why doesn't a person try to promote the closeness of women so that a person can feel like they're part of a community that someone obviously so wants to be a part of?
Who was going to tell me that you could actually have a boyfriend that you genuinely like and enjoy spending time with?
Anyone with common sense. But then again, common sense is not all that common.
Because this has been news to me. Like, I've never dated someone that I constantly want to talk about and bring to events and, like, introduce to my friends.
Then I think the question that all of us are wondering, why exactly would a person be dating them?
Like, if I had known all this time that you could date someone that you genuinely actually got along with and found to be a wonderful human being, like, I wouldn't have been dating such horrible, cruel, evil mustache men all this time.
It's hard to believe, I know, but it really seems that a lot of individuals just don't quite grasp the concept of what dating is actually for.
Personally, I feel like I've been tricked into doing community service work that I don't remember signing up for.
If you don't like the person that you're dating, you're doing it wrong.
Because now I've got a boyfriend that, like, I want to stick in a little jar with some leaves and some sugar water and poke some holes in the top with a fork so that I can just carry him around with me all day long and we never have to spend any time apart from each other. Anyways, hope this happens.
Well, I am really glad they found someone that makes them happy. However, as we have seen, and we continue to see every single day, there are a lot of individuals out there that will date someone or be with someone because they're honestly just scared of being alone. And that is really sad.
And you know, men quit doing all of it. Stop logging on. They stop swiping. Stop reaching out to these modern women. Just quit doing it all. And now women are confused. Where did all the good men go? Did they just disappear? Did they fall off the face of the earth? No. And that's probably what hurts the most, is a lot of men do it in silence. You'll never even know that they're not there until 2 or 3 months down the road. Man, this kind of feels empty, man. I didn't know that, you know, not having men there's nothing going on. Exactly. That's what we were trying to tell you before you ran into a problem that you didn't want.
If you are a man on a walk and you somehow find yourself behind a girl, and it's just the two of you on this very lonely walking road, you have to turn around.
Excuse me, but why?
Because it's scary, so normalize turning around, going the other direction.
How about this? How about no?
I have been walking for like 20 minutes and there's been this guy like steadily behind me. And I'm like literally in fight or flight for no reason.
And there we have it. It's actually the first rational thing that I've heard. They have been in fight or flight for no reason. Let me remind some women out there who seem to think that a man needs to change his course just so that you can feel more comfortable. A man has every right to be in a public space, just like you do. And your prejudice and irrational fears based on the propaganda that many women are putting out against men are your own problem. They're not everyone else's.
That's just like how the world is. So normalize guys turning around.
Here's an idea. If someone is so uncomfortable because they have such a prejudice against men, assuming that all of them are bad, why doesn't someone else change their course instead of expecting other people to cater to yours?
I fully believe that 95% of all men in the United States would have taken a plane ride to Epstein Island.
You know what I fully believe? That there are some individuals out there that are so deluded that they would actually be so desperate for likes and views that they would not only try to convince themselves of such a thing, but others as well. Just imagine having the audacity to accuse 95% of the male population in one country of being so depraved that, well, listen to this.
Even with full knowledge of what was going on there.
Oh, gentlemen, it gets worse.
For most of them, what was going on there would be the feature, not the bug. But the rest of them would be making excuse after excuse to get on that plane.
Just imagine the level of loathing that a person would have to hold in their hearts towards an entire population of people, might I add, based on a characteristic that they have no control over, to say such things. Quite frankly, it's women that say things like this that honestly sometimes make me embarrassed to share the same gender as them.
Men shouldn't be allowed to live under the same roof as women and children.
And not every thought that comes into a person's mind should come out of their mouth, but yet here we are. So I'm going to save everyone at least 6 minutes of your time. They go on to explain that statistically, women and children are more at risk of many unfortunate things happening to them if they live with a man. And well, in part that's true, because there are unfortunately some bad men out there that do very unspeakable things to women and children. But is that really a reason to try to say that men should not be allowed to live with women and children? Oh my goodness, that's the same kind of rationale that some individuals use to justify racism, isn't it? Because of the actions of some, the entire group must be punished. And is that really the type of thinking that we want to perpetuate? Or should we actually correct these illogical statements when we first hear them? Oh, I think I see the problem. There's a strong, independent woman that has the same rights as a man, but doesn't seem to want the same responsibilities. That seems to be a very popular trend among a lot of women out there. They want to reap all of the benefits of having the same rights as men, but a lot of them certainly don't want the same types of responsibilities. For example, they don't want to have to take care of themselves and carry their own luggage. And then they complain when a man doesn't offer them a seat, even though they've been saying for years that they're equal to men and don't need special treatment, except when they think they deserve it. Yeah, that's part of the problem there. But the other part of the problem is why a guy probably didn't stop and help is, yeah, there's probably a tripod and a camera set up there so that the person can film themselves carrying the bag up the stairs. That might also have something to do with it.
I am a man that looks like a woman.
No, I'm not trying to be rude here, but in their words, they're a man that looks like a woman. Okay, so they're a man. But they say they look like a woman. How? I don't see it. Is it the long hair that makes a person think they look like a woman? Because not every woman has long hair, and lots of manly men, very manly men, have long hair as well, so that doesn't a woman make. And is that part of what makes a man look like a woman? Because that doesn't necessarily make a woman either. But then there's this.
And if that enrages you, then you're probably transphobic. Or something.
Yeah, I think it would be the or something. Because I don't think anybody's enraged. I honestly just think that most of them are confused.
Oh yeah? Well then why do men commit suicide more often than women, huh?
I can tell that they sincerely care about this subject.
I'm sorry, are you trying to, flex or make a point?
See what I mean? Absolutely nothing but caring and empathy.
I can tell you why men commit suicide, but it's not gonna make you look any better. More men are mentally unstable than women.
What an interesting statement. However, I do have something for them that I don't think they're going to like.
Killing yourself is the weakest thing you could do as a person.
Is anybody else wondering what school of psychology they went to?
Why are you bragging about that? Why do you keep bringing that up? Do you want us to feel sorry for you? Do you want us to somehow take the blame?
If there was a face to the reason why men really don't like talking about their issues, I think we found it.
You want us to say,
oh no, men are killing themselves so much, it must be something we're doing.
You're knocking on the wrong door if that's what you're expecting from me.
The sad part is this isn't even rage bait. If anyone's familiar with their other content, this is par for the course.
Go get some therapy, maybe take some medication, and try to work through your problems instead of just offing yourself when it gets too hard.
Gentlemen, I would like to offer my reassurance that not every woman out there is so warm and understanding.
Stop expecting women to take the blame for everything that you guys mess up.
Wow.
Maybe if you guys didn't spend so much time actively hating everything feminine.
It really is a truly special type of person that actively goes out of their way to try to find ways to victimize themselves.
You could learn a thing or two from women about how to process your emotions without offing yourself. But we know you're not going to do that.
If anyone wanted to see a prime example of why it's not always women that have the most empathy, we found one.
A lot of these modern women say that men don't know how to be a partner, but really what they mean is they want a servant. I want a butler. I want somebody to come at my beck and call. You rank. You rank. No, I didn't ring. Go away, peasant. Bring me some grapes, peasant. Bring me some bacon, some sausage, and some orange juice, peasant. That's what they really mean to say.